And aptly so, today we are going to reflect on Karma Yoga, the philosophy of Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. And this is exactly, this is what I wrote to you, or what I read out to you right now, is the essence of Karma Yoga. Do what you have to, do it with clarity, do it with full commitment and focus. So let's get back to our Bhagavad Gita where we left last night. Remember, verse number 40 to 46 of chapter 2 basically summarizes Karma Yoga.
Or
40 to 48, sorry.
40 to 48.
Yes. We saw yesterday, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That verse. Do not be attached to the fruits of your actions. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Siddha siddhayo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. We saw the definition in verse number 48. Yoga samatvam uchyate. Yoga is equanimity. Yoga is balance. Chapter 2 verse 48. Page I don't know. Chapter number 2, verse 48. Perform action, O Arjuna, being steadfast in yoga, abandoning attachment and balanced in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. This is one definition that should stick with us as teachers, as spiritual people. Evenness, equanimous. It's a very, very beautiful definition for practical people, for people living busy lives like us. Unshaken. It's written there, right? What is written? Unshaken and undisturbed in any situation. No matter what, don't move. Asana se mata dol. Don't move from your asana. And here asana means not some physical posture. Asana means the stance that you take in the thought, in the mind, and in the body. The stance. Your grounding in your mind, in the spirit, in your action is also an asana. Now another beautiful definition comes at verse 50. It's also another fantastic definition for active people like us. It says, endowed with wisdom. Now wisdom is what here? Oh, great. We have the same translation. Yes. Evenness of mind. Why evenness of mind? Because he is not talking to another enlightened being. He is talking to Krishna, he is talking to Arjuna, who is confused, despondent, like all of us. So he says, endowed with wisdom means steadiness of mind. One casts off in this life both good and evil deeds. Therefore, devote thyself to yoga. Yoga is skill in action.
Which is Karma Yoga.
Yes.
What is one casts off? Like some deeds from other people?
No. One casts off in this life both good and evil deeds. Means Basically means by doing what you have to, you balance your karmic balance.
Cast off means exclude, no?
Cast off means work on, remove, transform, throw away. That's why in this life, no?
The yoga for me is not clear, the definition of yoga, what he means with yoga.
Okay. Remember,
Bhagavad Gita.
yoga and yogi. This is a confusing term in Bhagavad Gita. Yoga for Bhagavad Gita purpose, or at least for the second chapter, we have to understand as spiritual path. That's why a yogi is somebody who follows dedicatedly a spiritual path. A yogi could also be person who has mastered the yoga. So it has, you see, yoga is the verb also, it's the journey also, and the destination also. Through yoga you reach yoga. That's the beauty of yoga. Yoga is a state also, and yoga is the action to reach that state too. I do yoga to reach yoga. Confusing? I try to live in the union. Let's assume one definition. Yoga is union, the most used definition. I try to live in the union every minute to become the united.
Like what we did watching the flowers.
Yes, absolutely. What was. That's why a yogi is somebody who tries to live on the path of yoga dedicatedly, not as entertainment. And also when you reach the heights of yoga, when you realize your true self, you are also a yogi. So a struggler is also a yogi. Just there is sometimes they say yoga sadhak, just to say that he is still sadhak means the practitioner. But still, yoga is never out of you. That's why qualification doesn't change after you are enlightened. They give titles, Maharaj, 1008, Shri, 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 all this. But these are just titles on the card.
But Prasad, is yoga in everybody, like the true self is in everybody, just somebody is discovering it and somebody else no?
Sure.
Because if yoga is path to discovery of true self and true self is in everybody, it means it's given to everybody.
It is given to everybody, but the realization that it is given is not there. That's why I keep telling you how lucky and how graced and blessed we are, because we are actually, you could say, in the second stage. We have realized that there is something, I don't want to qualify it. We have realized that there is something inside us that we want to find out. Or we have realized that there is some inner voice that's calling me. Or we have realized that this is not the life that I want to live. There must be a better life. Right? This is one. Now many people, even after knowing these three, don't do anything. We have crossed this stage. I told you that day. That's why you should pat your back once in a while. Because you all have sacrificed, you all have managed to create circumstances to come here. This is itself appreciable, actually laudable. You see, that's why don't pull yourself down. How much effort you have put in to come here. I mean, the divine must be, the mother divine must be, look, this is my child. She must be like very proud of you. This is my child. She wants to come home to me. And all you mothers here must identify with that divine mother. Yeah, my child wants to come home. But the mother is just watching. Mother is watching the child come home, fall, get up, get lost, looking around for the address, sometimes finding it. Sometimes she is in front of the door, but then she thinks it's not the right door and she goes to another house to look for an apartment. But the Mother Divine is waiting with her arms extended. That's what you're answering the call. That's your answer, what you are doing, answering her call. And she is a mother, you saw. She's Kundalini. So, coming back to skill in action, he says endowed with evenness. He doesn't say this and that. He says in your practical life try to stay balanced. Evenness. Cultivate evenness in your day-to-day life, he says. Once you create evenness in your day-to-day life, what is going to happen? The bad karmas that are still conditioning you will be transformed. Good karmas will be maintained and no more bad karmas can tie you down. This is exactly what we need to do. We are this we should learn. You know what I call it? In the computer terminology, I call it installing antivirus of awareness. What does it mean? When your computer has virus, what do? There are two things that have to be done. Number one, clean the hard disk. Clean the hard disk of existing virus. There are programs for that, and we are studying. That's why we are here, to study those programs, right? But if you just clean the hard disk and don't do anything about it, what's going to happen after 2 days? New virus will come. So what do? We clean the existing hard disk and then we install a antivirus. So what does the antivirus do? The antivirus does not allow any more viruses to enter. What happens then? Your laptop functions at full capacity. Skill in action. Skill in action. Yoga karmashu kaushalam. This is exactly what we have to do. We have to raise our awareness to such a level that no more, that the conditioning of our lower mind will not hijack us anymore and not allow any further conditioning to tie us down. And that's what we are seeing in the morning session. Yama Niyama is what about that? Do you see how accessible it is, the Gita? That's why for Karma Yoga I am going to give you 5 points. If you understand these 5 points, you have understood Karma Yoga. First point, I would suggest that you, on a fresh page, you just write this down. Number 1, clarity of thought. So write like this, clarity, arrow, thought. Clarity of thought. This is the first step of Karma Yoga. And that's what he says. Do what you have to, Arjuna. Be clear. And this is exactly what Arjuna is not. Even Arjuna is still dilly-dallying even till later chapters, imagine a person like Krishna is talking to you and you're still not going in your head. So you see, a divine being himself is dictating you the moksha shastra, the science of liberation, and still it's not sinking in. For me, that is the beauty of the conditioned mind. Anyway. Second, once you think, what happens? You do, right? Or clarity of thought, and then what do? You have a thought of doing something, you make an intent. So, responsibility of the intent.
It's not like intention?
Yes, intention is the same. So you have many thoughts, and then you gather a priority of those thoughts and make what? An intent of it. Okay, now I'm going to do this.
What do you mean by responsibility of it?
Means I'm responsible for my intention. Right? I take full responsibility for what I'm thinking.
Like for decision that I'm making about my actions,
Yes.
then
Yes.
I go.
Firmness, clarity. Yeah. Third, once you have this, what's going to happen to the action? Energy. And when I say energy, I'm in focus, I'm in motivation, all these things. Yeah. So clarity of thought, responsibility of intention. Both of this will give you what? Energy into action. If above two is not there, your action will lose energy. This is what is happening with Arjuna. This is warrior, one of the best marksmen of that era. Skill is there. Skill is not at all an issue. Arjuna was the best archer in that time frame of the world. That was not at all the question. Question was, how would that skill be used?
Execute.
He wasn't be able to execute because intention was not clear. There was no clarity. Skill was there. This is what we are saying. Pure potential was there, but possibility was not manifesting because the mind was blocking it.
These clouds of doubt, ignorance,
Clouds of doubt,
fear.
clouds of delusion, non-clarity, all clouds. You know, if one cloud comes, all clouds will fall. You just need one cloud to hide the sun.
Yeah, like that.
Yes. And even from physics of it, it's like that. One cloud and boom, seeding effect will happen. Fourth, obviously what's going to happen? When you do the action, result is going to happen, right? Detachment from result or result. Detachment from result. But detachment from result doesn't mean forget. So the last is learning from consequences. Learning, because there's a lesson in everything. The result may be, okay, if you've written this, learning from consequences. Now, the result may be favorable or unfavorable. That needs to be understood. That is why detachment is important. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya says. So, detachment from action, detachment from result.
Consequences to be understood as result a little bit?
No, result is what happens, and then
Yes.
consequences what unfolds out of that happening.
Okay, consequence of the result, let's say.
Yes. I mean, you can say result is consequence, but I just want to elaborate it a little more to give it a little clarity. Result has come. Like I wrote an exam. Result came. I am failed in the exam. Consequence is what? I'm sad, I feel low self-esteem, but stop. I will learn something from this. What will I learn from the consequences? Prasad, don't let yourself down, study hard the next time. Result was bad. Result was good. Result is good or bad, always. But consequences of that is, so you can say result it is outside, consequences are born inside. Now from the consequences we have to learn. Because consequences is, you know what? Karma. And how you handle the consequence is basically how you handle the karma that comes with the result.
So it's kind of feedback.
Absolutely. And this is where you need tarka. Tarka means reflection. If you don't reflect, you will not have any learning from the consequence. You will not even know that there is something called as learning in the consequence. You will not be aware of that. Okay? This all will contribute to you becoming skillful in action. And you know what is the definition of skill? In English? Definition of skill. Practiced ability.
Practic or practice?
Practiced ability.
Practiced.
Yeah.
Practiced ability.
Practiced ability.
The ability that is practice, or action that is practiced. Like remember the time when we first started typing on a computer keyboard? I still remember. Tick, tick. Where is Q? Where is Q? Where is Q? Where is Q? No Q? This keyboard doesn't have Q? And somebody, it's here. Oh, okay, okay. It used to take so much time to write your name. Now, practice ability.
Just practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice. So what earlier, 10 years ago, when you could not even find a letter on the keyboard, today it has become skill. Sometimes people, how can you type so fast? And you also don't know how you can type so fast. When did it happen? You don't know. But repetition, habit.
But I thought sometimes, me, when I observe people around, it seems like we are just repeating also the same mistakes. So this learning is not happening somehow.
That's because we don't reflect. That's because we are still not in the zone of awareness. See, what happens is when we don't reflect, the result is just a result. That's it. It is not a learning.